Hey yo Hylians, my name is Ty Cholera and you are watching Hyrule Warriors Definitive Edition. Last time on our adventure, we began our adventure in Hyrule Field and lost track of a kind of important person? May or may not have been the Princess of Zelda. What? I'm not sure what I just said. This time, we'll be heading on into the next chapter, the Sheikah Tribesmen in the Eldin Caves, and seeing exactly what it has in store for us. But first, the game really wants us to go to the bazaar. It's going to tell us all about these things called badges and stuff, which are actually incredibly useful. So it basically told us right away to craft the this empty bottle badge for Link. Basically what this is something you're going to want to do with a lot of your warriors as you go, where different badges will create permanent lasting effects for your warriors. This is how you unlock a lot of new combos for all your different playable warriors and things like that. Because without this, you don't have all your combos, and you won't be able to do everything. There's also a lot of other special effects that you can get, which we'll kind of go over when we get them. Right now, these require materials, a lot of materials that we don't yet have. So, again, when we get them, we'll get them. A lot of your defensive badges will nullify or reduce damage and things like that, so those are useful. And then your assist badges also do a few other things, which, like I said, we'll be going over. Or I guess we can go over these ones now because they're not all that. This one just speeds up the process of taking keeps, and these we'll see when we see them. The training dojo is something else you can do here in the bazaar. This will allow you to level up your warriors to match your highest level warrior. So if you have a couple warriors that maybe are lagging behind the rest of your characters, you can head on in here, and instead of having to just grind out a ton of enemies and things like that, you can just spend money to raise their level naturally. The apothecary does a few things where you can spend materials and a little bit of money on stat boosts that will linger for a single battle. These are temporary boosts that just do different things that don't exactly last. I personally will not be using the apothecary all that much, just because I personally don't find it all that useful for the single battle things, especially because a lot of these materials can be a little expensive from time to time. So the smithy we don't have access to yet. We will be going over that once we get there. Before we head into this mission, what do you say we head back out? Because we also unlocked quite a few things. We unlocked, at the end of that mission, we unlocked free mode, which allows you to replay any missions that you already have as any of the warriors that you currently have unlocked. Adventure mode is going to be a really big undertaking that we'll do after the main story. I'm not even going to go into this menu because it starts something that is unskippable and also can't be reviewed after you see it the first time, at least not to my knowledge. So, maybe it can, but I'm not sure. So we're going to avoid going in there. Adventure mode is what makes this game so dang hard to 100%. Adventure mode is huge, and there's a lot to it. So again, we'll be going over that when we get there. Challenge mode is another thing that's very similar to adventure mode. It's just a bunch of extra missions that we'll see when we get to that point. My Fairy is not currently unlocked, so we won't worry about that. And then there's the gallery, where you can just do a couple of things. You can view your warriors. You can view old cutscenes. You can listen to music in the game. You can view all the illustrations. There's going to be a lot of Skulltulas and a lot of potential illustrations that you can get, so that's a lot of fun. Medals are basically achievements. These are surprisingly hard to get, a lot of them. So, don't expect on seeing this a whole lot. Last time we did get the achievement Destructive Force. And then you can review any tutorials that you've seen. One other thing that we unlocked, every character has multiple costumes. So this is what we started out with. Link also has the Hero's Clothes, which we'll be seeing him in for the majority of the game, as well as we unlocked the Era of the Wild's tunic, which makes him look like his appearance in Breath of the Wild. The Era of the Wild's tunic and the Era of the Wild's outfit for Zelda are the only things that are original to the Hyrule Warriors Definitive Edition. You cannot get these in Hyrule Warriors Legends or Hyrule Warriors for the Wii U. This is the only thing that is unique to this version of the game. So if you're worried about not having, if you don't have a Switch and you still want to play the game with the most stuff, Hyrule Warriors Legends is your way to go because it's the only thing that's not in either of the other two versions. There is one thing that is not in Legends that is in the Wii U version, and we'll go over that when we get there, but that's what it is. It is what it is. With that being said, what do you say we jump on into our weapon of the day, which is going to be Impa and her giant blade. Impa's Giant Blade is a water-type weapon that is all about hitting hard, even if that's sometimes at the cost of speed and range. All of her moves have quite a bit of kick behind them, which allows her to effectively deal with single targets, but they tend to lack the wide range needed to deal with large groups. Starting off, her basic combo string is incredibly focused on the space directly in front of her, which, despite being the move you will use most often, does tend to limit its usefulness. Counteracting this flaw, however, is the fact that this is one of Impa's fastest combos, moving surprisingly rapidly from one hit to another, which does allow you to take out some large groups providing you continue to move around. Simply pressing heavy attack causes Impa to launch forward, slashing at a single target. This move is incredibly limited in its uses, being only really good as an approaching option due to its slow build-up and surprisingly small range. Use it sparingly. Impa's first heavy attack combo sends her and whatever enemies are nearby into the air and can then be followed by either a normal or heavy attack, which do a little spin in the air or a slam down to the ground respectively. Again, this move's usefulness is remarkably low due to its small range. Similarly, the follow-up attacks that she can perform tend to not hit what she sends up with her, making the move almost completely useless. Her second combo is all but worthless, causing Impa to slam on the ground immediately in front of her and slowly pull out of the ground. Just don't use this one. It's slow, short range, and any of her other combos are just so much better. Of all her combos, her third one is by far the best one. Impa summons a water bubble and slashes at it in an extremely wide arc, causing a surprising amount of damage and inflicting the water status. This move comes out fast, hits hard, and hits wide, making it her best crowd clearer by far. Of all her combos, this is probably the one that you will use the most. Impa's fourth combo tries to be as cool as her third, but ultimately ends up lacking in the speed and damage department. For this move, Impa leaps into the air, summons a bunch of knives made of water, and drops them on her enemies, inflicting the water status. This move has pretty good range, and does make her mostly invincible, but it doesn't always do enough damage to justify its use. Use it sparingly. Finally, Impa's fifth combo has her summon 3 water blades and swing them out in an incredibly wide arc in front of her. This move has some serious power behind it, and is a great crowd clearer, but oftentimes its painfully slow startup time simply makes it inferior to other options in her kit. Overall, Impa is a pretty middle-of-the-road character. She has some pretty decent moves with a lot of power behind them, but typically the slow speed and limited range of her attacks hold her back from being one of the better characters in the game.
After an arduous battle, Link and his comrades slew King Dodongo, but the beast was only ever intended as a distraction. The army of monsters had taken Hyrule Castle. Worse, after the dust had settled, Princess Zelda was nowhere to be found. Impa and Link searched the battlefield for any sign of her, but to no avail. Although the battle had been lost, Impa foresaw Link's importance to the coming war. She bestowed upon him a green tunic, the sign of the legendary hero. Link did not believe himself worthy of the honor, but he was determined to help Impa and her remaining soldiers locate Zelda. Weeks passed. Impa heard a rumor that a handful of soldiers were holding out against the monsters in Faron Woods. The leader of this resistance was supposedly a young woman. Impa dared to hope that this unknown woman was Zelda. Link and Impa decided to make their way to the forest by way of the Eldin Caves, a path with its own dangers.
Alright, welcome back. So this is our general mission layout. This will happen at the beginning of every single mission. You can kind of go over a bunch of different information about what you might see. You can look at the map. You can see all of your forces, all of the enemy forces, the captains and generals, as well as all the currently available keeps. Of course, we will be seeing more keeps as we progress, but this is what we currently can access at the beginning of this mission. You can also check your current status, so the victory conditions and your defeat conditions. One other thing to note is that as far as defeat conditions are concerned, if you or any of your currently playable warriors lose all of their hearts, that is also considered a defeat, even if it's not specifically stated in your defeat conditions. The currently playable warriors are any of the warrior portraits that you can see in the top right corner of the screen. Top left corner. Those are the characters that you can switch to. Your warrior info, you can look at the combos of all your warriors. You can check your weapon skills, which we'll be going over when we actually get a weapon with skills. We can check which badges we have, as well as the requirements for the Skulltula, because there will be some missions later on that will have requirements other than defeat 1,000 enemies, but for right now, that's what we have. You can, of course, review any and all tutorials that you may have, so if you think you're going to need it, you can go and check those. You can alter your settings, and you can even change the background music of your missions. If you, say, don't like the music of a certain map, you can go ahead and change that. I do really like the music of this map, so I'm going to leave it as is, but and I'll be also leaving it at default for the entirety of this playthrough, but that is an option. You can also quit back out into the bazaar, but this will cause you to have to watch loading screens and things like that again as it loads the mission back up. So if you forget to go to the bazaar, you can quit out from this menu. You don't have to just hit the exit scenario. You can just jump straight there. But with that said, let's go ahead and get started. Alright, sorry, I just wanted to let you guys listen to that music for a little bit. Like I said, I do really like the music here. This song is known as Eldin Caves, and it's really cool. I freaking like it. I really like it. But what the game was just trying to tell us about was these outposts right here. These are, you'll see these, of course, all across the map, as well as, you can see where they are marked on your map in the top corner there. What these do is these are, basically what they'll do is they'll spawn troops. So while you're, if you pass by an outpost, capture it. That way you can just, have a continuous supply of respawning troops as is needed. So, yeah, so that's outposts. Right, what we just saw right there, that I totally just defeated without even talking about it, was it was a Poe, which is a different kind of captain. We do not currently have the weapon that Poes are, the item that Poes are weak to. Like I said, all captains have a item weakness. We don't have that item yet, but here they are nonetheless. These guys are probably some of the easiest captains you will ever face because they do not have the ability to pull up shields. So they're just kind of, you know, fodder for our attacks and free XP. So there you go. So let's go ahead and take these keeps, and right now our current objective is to rendezvous with the troops in the north, and it looks like they're in danger actually, which is bad because they are our main objective. So if we lose them, we lose the mission. So I'm gonna, you know, run up there. Oh, we did it. Link did it. Link rendezvoused with them for me. Good job, Link. Let's go ahead and heal him up. So what you just saw there was the rescue system, where essentially you can, if your forces are in danger, you can rescue them, where you will, I mean, if you walk in that green circle, it'll basically fill them back up to full health. So, very useful mechanic. I mean, I don't really have much else to say about it. It's incredibly useful, so do it. Do it whenever you can. Right now, we are currently being blocked by our enemies, by some lava there and that giant crystal. So we are waiting for a way to take care of that. You'll notice the characters are mentioning something about a good old bomb chew. This is a recurring mechanic that we're going to see a couple of times here once it gets started. So you can see on the map there is something has started moving. We need to escort the bomb chew to its destination. Bomb chews are they'll move on their own, and you kind of just need to clear a path for them. If they are surrounded by too many enemies or come across an enemy keep, bomb chews will stop dead in their tracks, and they will not progress until you clear out the enemies or capture the keep. So we're going to see this a couple more times throughout the game. So just, you know, it's something. I also really do like how they use the Ocarina of Time design of bomb chews here. You can tell, and they're just giant and metal, and it's kind of fun. Here's what I was talking about with them stopping in their tracks when surrounded by too many enemies. And there are Poes heading to the South Spire that we are just barely out of reach for us. This is an interesting mechanic that is actually a pretty good thing for me to show right now. What this is, in the menu, you'll notice the command option. And what this does is this basically allows you to tell your warriors, all your playable warriors, where to go. And they will walk to that destination. There are a few things to keep note of when using this option. For one, your warriors are, when not controlled by you, are incredibly stupid. They'll kind of just stand there, they'll attack occasionally, but they won't really do much without you controlling them. This is really just a way to get your characters to go where you want them to go. Don't expect them to do much of anything while they're there. Also, something to keep in mind is that once they're given a destination, as far as I am aware, there is no way to cancel that destination. So I'm not sure why that is, but it's a pretty serious oversight. But just know that once you're there given a destination, they will continue to return to that point. So you're going to need to kind of almost babysit them in a way. And once they're given a place to go, you're going to need to continually kind of just give them places to go. So it's just something to keep in mind when using this option. Also something to keep in mind, this is not in the original Wii U version of the game, as it relies on the character switch mechanic, which is of course also not in the Wii U version of the game. All in all, the command option is a good thing. It just can be a little bit buggy sometimes, and and it's pretty inconsistently buggy. We have a gold Skulltula on the field, and trying to remember where he's hiding. I remember where he's hiding. I'm trying to think who would be the fastest guy for that. I'm kind of going to let the Bombchu just kind of stay where it is for right now. Just because... Yeah. So it's going to be stopped right there. I think Link is going to be the best character. That way, Impa's right there next to the Bombchu, so I can keep enemies off of it in case I need to. So what I said about our allies not being very intelligent, is it not here? I thought it was right here. What I said with our allies not being intelligent. Our enemies are not incredibly intelligent either. Oh, that's right. It's underneath that boulder that we blew up earlier. The enemies are not incredibly intelligent either. They're not very consistent attackers. This really is a game that's all about kind of just making you feel powerful, allowing you to, just truck through one-man army style. However, there are a couple of instances where you're going to need to be really careful, and, if you lose certain things, it's going to end up being really bad for you, and things can get out of your control if you let too many enemies spawn in. So, just be careful. Usually if your troops die or whatever, it's not the biggest of deals, but it is something you're going to want to, keep track of as you play the game. So, let's go ahead and take this outpost, and it looks like the Bombchu has more or less reached its destination. Kaboom! And that is going to drain the lava out of our path, so we can now progress onward. And my dog is trying to get back inside, but I'm not going to let him because he's fine where he is. But now we just kind of need to keep going to the next section. So here we go. The princess isn't dead. You'll reunite with her at some point during your journey, but not quite yet. You can call me Sheik. It's a name that comes from the Sheikah tribe. They were servants of the Hyrulean royal family. The Sheikah tribe? That's impossible. We can talk more once we get out of this cave. For now, let me join you. So, we now have a new ally. Sheik has joined our team. For the sake of storytelling, I will be keeping Sheik's true identity a secret until that information is revealed to us. However, it's going to be really hard. I mean, if you know the Legend of Zelda series at all, you're probably well aware of who Sheik really is. But I'm, again, going to keep it a secret just for the sake of storytelling. However, I will just say right now, the true identity of Sheik is a female, so I will be referring to her as such. This is, right now we're just kind of progressing through this area here, and I gotta say, I love this area in the map. The Crystal Cave section, this is in the whole upper right corner is this beautiful Crystal Cave section. It even has its own dynamic music. When you're in here, the music is a little bit different, and I recommend you go and listen to it on your own time again, because it's really freaking good. And but yeah, this section is just, it's so cool. I really love this music here. But now that we're kind of sort of working our way back into the main area, this is our destination here. We want to take this key, because this is the south gate that leads to the exit, or this leads us to the south gate, for the most part. So this is our main objective, is to capture this tunnel square here. And I don't think I've mentioned it quite yet, but Lizalfos, in case you didn't notice in the last episode, Lizalfos are in fact weak to bombs. That is their main item weakness. So obviously we already have bombs, so they're not much of a problem for us. Let's go ahead and open this chest and get the treasure that's inside. you got a sealed weapon. It might be a completely new weapon. So you'll find these throughout. You won't find these very often. Most of the time, weapons that you already have will be in little bags. Sealed weapons are either upgrades of weapons that you like the next stage, because there are multiple stages of each weapon. It'll be either the next stage of each weapon, or it will be the or it'll be a completely new weapon that you haven't seen before. It's going to tell us about summoners, which just basically summon enemies. But back to what I was saying about sealed weapons. What those will do is they'll just kind of stay. At the end of the mission, you'll find out what the weapon is. So it is what it is. Right now we need to kind of make our way through this tunnel here to find the spirit of the caves in order to allow us to progress through, because we won't be able to do that until we can, defeat the spirit of the caves, because, that's what the game told us to do. So, assault troops. So assault troops are very, very powerful. These are some of the few times where I would actually actively recommend you take down advancing troops, is in the case of these assault troops, because they will basically progress, plowing through your troops and through keeps and things, and just cause major damage to significant keeps. So you want to take them down pretty quickly. And, we just gained the ability to play as Sheik in order to take down those assault troops. This is... it's gonna just ignore that real fast. Sheik is by far one of my favorite characters in the game, and we'll go over her more in depth when we go over her weapon of the day thing in a little bit, in a future episode. But I love Sheik, and so I'm very excited to be playing as her now. She's gonna help us take down these assault troops in it that are assaulting. So let's go ahead and take care of these guys right here. Ow. Ow. And kaboom. So let's see. I'm actually going to see if I can't get this guy to do it here. Yes. So you'll notice the weapon, the item weakness, it can only be used during certain attacks of each enemy. They do not... those attacks will... you can't just throw the item out and expect it to happen, whatever you want to happen. However, what you can do is you can... during those attacks, if you throw the item at them and hit them with it, it'll basically cause them to start hitting their own allies. So it's a very useful mechanic that you want to take advantage of whenever possible. And you'll notice I've already been doing that even before I talked about it right there. But, yeah. We got the assault troops coming in up here. And I'm just gonna wait until I have a certain something. Boom. I haven't really mentioned special attacks much yet, and I haven't used them at all yet. But that's basically, once your special attack meter fills up, press the A button, you got it. The special attack meter will fill up naturally as you fight enemies. There's also the other meter, the magic gauge, which we saw a few times. It tried to teach us about a few times, which I will be going over when I can. But that's also not something that I use incredibly frequently, unless I'm like really surrounded by a lot of enemies. So we'll go over that when we get there. But as of right now, just keep that in mind. We'll be going over that later. Here's our heart piece for this particular mission. And so that's that, and we don't need to worry about that anymore. I'm going to switch back to Impa here. Our main objective right now is to search the caves to find some more bomb shoes, because as it tried to tell us that I was talking while I was talking over, there is another set of giant crystals over here. However, these are too big for just one, so we need to find a second bomb shoe in order to attack the crystals. I'm gonna go... Yeah, we're gonna go up here first, because this will open a lot of things up for us. So we're gonna go up here and take this down. We're finally starting to slow down with a lot of the main tutorials and things like that. So, which is which is really nice. This game is, for a game that's all about just one-man army and you know, plowing through enemies all at once, it's got a surprising amount of depth to it. There's a lot of little mechanics and things that are just, whew, you know? So, that's that. But, right now we're finally starting to slow down. We're going to let those bomb chews kind of just do their own thing. I'm just going to take this key in here. Because the bomb chews are just going to start making their way over. It's going to tell us a little bit about playable warriors, which, you know, I've already mentioned, so, you know, whatever. It is what it is. And here we are introduced to another general. This is just another general that we're going to have to fight. This is Wizrow, Wizrow, the Twisted Wizard. All playable warriors are generals. So if they have that intro cutscene, if you can fight them as generals, then they are then they will be playable at some point, so just keep that in mind. Wizrow is, in my opinion, one of the most annoying generals to fight. I'm actually going to ignore him for a second here because I need to do this. I believe this is my hurt container. I'm going to go ahead and skip this cutscene because I don't care. Now we can go back out and fight Wizrow. Anyways, yeah, Wizrow is probably one of the most annoying of all the generals to fight. And you'll see why in a second here once I actually get around to fighting him. But yeah, I'm just let it be known, not a fan of Wizrow at all. Actually, there's quite a bit of enemies. This would be a good time to go over. Focus Spirit. So this is the green gauge up in the top corner of the screen. Can only be filled by it can only be filled by getting magic jars, so it doesn't fill naturally over time. However, once you have it full, you can activate your Focus Spirit, which will essentially just it increases your attack speed and your attack power. It's just general buffs all around. It's very useful, and it's great to do when you're surrounded by crowds or defeating or facing a difficult opponent. Basically, if you find yourself in a bit of a pinch, use your Focus Spirit, and oh, there we go. Yep, that's why I hate Wizard. Yeah, if you find yourself in a bit of a pinch, use your Focus Spirit and just plow through enemies, and it's pretty dang great. It'll also, if you there's two ways to end your Focus Spirit. If you let the meter run out on its own, you'll kind of do just a big AoE attack that will just cause a whole bunch of damage. Or if you decide to end it early, you'll do a special attack that causes a ton of damage and immediately activates the weak point gauges of any generals, captains, or giant bosses. So it's incredibly useful if you decide to end your attack early, which you'll notice I did, and the attack was a bit more potent. So, really good stuff. We love it. It's great. We defeated Wizrow, and I'm going to wait around here because he's going to retreat, and he's going to give us material, which are always useful. So we want materials. Those are good. Those help us. And now we can kind of just progress to the South Keep, because that is our exit point. And we made it through the caves. That's the end of the mission. So there you go. We can now head into the Pharaoh Woods, which is, in case you've forgotten, the main objective of the story. That's what we're trying to do here. So, victory. When there are no cutscenes to play after a mission, you'll just get this general victory screen, as well as every character, every playable warrior has a unique victory animation. So it's pretty fun. These are also skippable if you so desire. You can skip them just by pressing start. I'm pressing the plus button on if you're playing the Switch version. But yeah, there you go. And there's our mission statement. It took us about 16 minutes to clear that. And this was the sealed weapon that we found, the Fire Rod. This is a weapon for Link. Certain warriors will have multiple weapons, which basically completely alter their play style. Different weapons do different things. Understandable. We'll be going over that another day when we, do end up going over it. Grab all those materials that we got. Those, of course, are used for badges and items in the apothecary. There's our special item. And with that, that's it for this episode. So next time on Hyrule Warriors Definitive Edition, we'll be heading into the next chapter in the Faron Woods. The episode, The Sorceress of the Woods. There's going to be woods. But I'll see you guys again real soon. But until then, I bid you all a hearty farewell. Bye-bye.